Hi, my name is Dan Allen. I'm Associate Lecturer at the School of Health and Society, and this is my first ever video blog to talk to you about my experiences of using Collaborate Ultra. I'm the module leader on the MA in social work for two modules, but the one I'm talking to you about today is Law, Policy and Practice. And through our ICZ review and PPRR, we decided as a programme team that the Law, Policy and Practice module might be the best one on the MA programme to develop online teaching and Collaborate Ultra more generally. As I was module leader for that module, it was my job to try and think about how we could embed Collaborate Ultra as a teaching and learning strategy on the MA in social work. Now, the biggest challenge I had was that the Law, Policy and Practice module is the third module that the MA social work students had, and because Collaborate Ultra wasn't embedded in the pedagogical approaches to teaching and learning from the outset, I was aware that some of the students might not like it, and I'm aware of the students that may have become more familiar with the traditional face-to-face teaching that we do here at Salford. So I had to think long and hard about how I was going to integrate Collaborate Ultra as a viable, reliable and useful teaching and learning strategy alongside traditional face-to-face teaching. So I went on the Collaborate Ultra training with Peter Unsworth, and that was fabulous. Peter showed me how to use Collaborate Ultra. It was done through Collaborate Ultra, so as well as I got the experiential opportunity to learn how to use it too. So that was fabulous. Rather than sitting in the classroom learning how to use it, it was all done on a hands-on way. So Peter Unsworth was great about that. So if any of you are thinking of using Collaborate Ultra, please do the training with Peter and the team. Once I'd done the training then, I had to really think about the module and how I was going to deliver it to students, bringing in Collaborate Ultra as a new approach to teaching and learning, as I've already said, so that it was useful and not a hindrance really. So what I decided to do, once I'd looked at the module spec and the indicative content, there was a clear indication of what type of information could be learning could be facilitated in a lecture, and what I might do well to deliver online. Being law, social policy as well, the practical elements of the module are more in the application of law rather than in any practical hands-on activities. So it naturally lended itself to Collaborate Ultra anyway. So what I decided to do, because Collaborate Ultra was a new approach to teaching and learning for the students, was to have half the day face-to-face lectures and the other half of the day Collaborate Ultra. Now, it had to be on the same day because that's the way the module runs, and with students often they're on placement, so they come into uni for the 1 day a week. Ideally, I think I would have preferred it to have the talk lecture one day and then Collaborate Ultra the other, because Collaborate Ultra requires people to access learning from a PC, and while some prefer to go home, it would have meant that others who maybe travelled too far or weren't able to get home in time were accessing online learning in our learning spaces or on their phones or their tablets on campus. But anyway, that was the plan, and that's what we did. Before the module started, I put all the induction videos about Collaborate Ultra on Blackboard. I wrote announcements to the students explaining what Collaborate Ultra was, the rationale behind its use, and gave some activities to the students linked from the Collaborate Ultra website, how they could become more familiar with the facility online. That taster session then, I ran a taster session for the students a week before the module started, and what I did is just a mock discussion, and I showed the students how to use Collaborate Ultra in the same way that Peter Unsworth had showed me. So that was great. 60 students in the cohort, about 25 managed to find the time to come onto that Collaborate Ultra taster session before the module started. In the first lecture then, I started to talk about, I've been using Collaborate Ultra now for 2 weeks. In the first lecture, I explained Collaborate Ultra to the students and went through the facility for those who weren't able to attend the taster session. But what I did is I took the microphone and the webcam that we've all been given, and I recorded the lecture, and I put it on the screen as if the students would see it on Collaborate Ultra. And something amazing happened, because the students who were in the lecture then logged on, and they were then engaging in the lecture on the chat screen on Collaborate Ultra, as well as verbally and physical engagement in the lecture generally. So that was great, because they started to get more familiar with it. Then in the afternoon, where it was just the pure Collaborate Ultra session, that got off to a bit of a rocky start. I think all of my anxieties about it being a new approach to teaching and learning were realised. That there was, in terms of transactional analysis, there was very little in the way of my confirmation of whether the students were there, because I could see them, whether they were listening, whether they were understanding what I was saying. Anyway, at the break, I decided to try and make it a little bit, the lecture more engaging. So I had to move away from a traditional model of teaching and learning to a more interactive approach. So what I would do is cut and paste reading that supported the premise of the lecture into the chat bar, and then say give students 10 minutes to read that and then discuss. Now that was useful, because where we might in a traditional lecture say to students, okay, well, we've been talking about topic A, break now into small groups or pairs or whatever, discuss that for 10 or 15 minutes, and then come and feed back to the group. Sometimes those conversations are excellent, but sometimes they can be fairly tokenistic and shallow or fairly descriptive. But what then I was able to do for Collaborate Ultra was give them journal articles, peer-reviewed papers, as well as trade journal articles. Then I knew that they were reading, and then I'd ask them to read that for 10 or 15 minutes and then feed back to the group. Their input and discussion was much more informed than it might have other been if they hadn't been given that reading. But anyway, so once I'd done that and made the learning journey, that experience of learning more interactive, I became like a radio DJ, as the students on Collaborate Ultra can put their hand up online, and then you click a button and ask them to turn the mic on, and then they speak. And then I was summarising and reflecting what they'd said, and then somebody else would put their hand up, and it became really interactive. The learning became so much more detailed because there was so much more engagement. But what was amazing is that I started to notice that students who might be reluctant to speak out in class were making a contribution online, either through the microphones, making verbal comments, or on the chat link. So that was amazing. The second lecture then, there was a bit of a communication breakdown, because I put on the announcement that the lecture would be recorded on Collaborate Ultra, and that's amazing because students are in class. If when they're doing the revision, we've got a law exam in say 8 weeks' time, and they want to think about, okay, well, what was said about the Care Act or the Mental Health Act or whatever, they can go back and listen to the lecture, and they can also see the chat thread. So that was great. A breakdown in communication. So the students thought that the first lecture was going to be on Collaborate Ultra, because I said we'll be in class, but I'll also record it, so you've got it available. Anyway, what happened is about 15 people turned up in class, over the 60, and the others were all online, ready to go. So I was stuck with a bit of a problem, but I went with it. So I delivered the face-to-face lecture to the 15. Well, it was more of a small group seminar then, with then the online community engaging online, and I put it on the screen so the students in the class could see the chat thread, and the students who were online could engage in the discussion. And having these webcams with these microphones that Neil sent around are fab, because they pick up what people are saying in the lecture theatre. So somebody could be making a contribution, say 5 rows, 6 rows, 7 rows back. The microphone picks up, and people sitting at home or on the bus or wherever can hear it too. So that was fabulous. What that day helped me understand is that Collaborate Ultra doesn't work for everybody. For some, they love it because if they've got childcare commitments, or if coming into campus is difficult because of parking, lots of other personal reasons, they can access learning from home. So the flexibility that offers is brilliant. I've told students quite clearly that just because I can record the lectures doesn't mean that they don't have to attend lectures, and that if they just listen to a recording of a lecture, it isn't the same learning as if they were attending the lecture physically or being physically online while the lecture was being delivered. But then the students who were in class said we don't like Collaborate Ultra. Is there any chance we can have the face-to-face learning whilst others do the learning through Collaborate Ultra? So that's what I did. So that's going to be the model so far. So there's going to be about 10 people in class and about 50 people online, and I'm going to deliver the lectures to those in the class with Collaborate Ultra on the PowerPoint screen behind me, and then see what happens. So it's been great so far. My experiences have been really positive. It isn't for the faint-hearted though, and that lecture that I did last week, teaching to the class and teaching to Collaborate Ultra, was one of the hardest teaching sessions I've ever done. I was exhausted because you're mindful of the class, you're mindful of the online chat, and you're also mindful of whether people are listening online, and if they are listening and they put their hand up, letting them speak, and so on and so forth. So it's difficult, but the evaluations so far are really good. I'm going to continue to see what happens, and at the midpoint module evaluations, I'm going to ask the cohort what their evaluations are, and make any changes necessary. And at the end of the module, I'm hopefully going to get some students to come in and do a vlog with me. But Collaborate Ultra is fabulous, unlimited opportunities really. The most important that the students really seem to engage with it, and what we've got is a fabulous flexibility. If students don't like it, they can still come into class and learn in a traditional way. So brilliant. Thanks for listening to my vlog. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.